Hey, how's it going? Leagues 4, Trailblazer Reloaded, is less than a week away, and I wanted to go over a few thoughts I've had brewing lately. This is the only Leagues video I'm going to make before the league starts, so I'm going to try and organize my thoughts and say everything I want to say, hopefully. When it does start, though, I'm going to try my best to make daily videos, at least at the start, and see how long I can keep that up. First things first, I will be playing the league, of course, and for those of you new here, I've played all the leagues in the past, and I've gotten Dragon rank 4 times, even though there's 3 leagues in the past. I played 2 accounts last Trailblazer and got Dragon Cup on both. This time around, my goal is going to be going for Dragon again, but things are a bit different because in the past, only the top 1% of players in terms of points would get that rank. So it was highly competitive and the threshold was just constantly getting higher and higher for Dragon. But for Leagues 4, they changed it so that all the different rankings are going to be static point thresholds. I have a feeling it's going to be easier than it was in the past to get Dragon, and I think a lot more than 1% of players will reach that threshold. And even as someone who plays OSRs as a job, it was genuinely sometimes stressful in the past not knowing if I was going to get Dragon because I'd wake up and suddenly I was in Rune again every day. For this league, I'm going to play on my main account because it already has 3 Dragon Cups, so I feel like I just need to make sure I get all of them on that account. But maybe if/when I get Dragon or start getting close to it, maybe I'll play on a second account to try out different regions, depending on how I feel. For the 2 weeks leading up to the league, Jagex has been doing daily league reveals of things such as revealing certain relics, multipliers, and so on. I've been collaborating with one of my colleagues who has been making near daily videos talking about the reveals, and a lot of my thoughts and ideas are included in her videos, so I'll link Spookdog's channel below if you want to check them out. By the way, did you see what I did there with colleagues? Leagues, like leagues, get it? Anyways, another extremely valuable source of information is the official Leagues Discord, which I'll also link in the description so you can lurk around and check out the theory crafting that's been done. Every time there's a reveal, people go nuts in the discussions in there, and it's great fun to see. And it seems like after every couple reveals, a lot of people change their plans because a lot of the relics are really game changing. I personally haven't even decided on what combat style or regions to pick. Kind of waiting to see more reveals because I don't want to get married to any specific plan just to have my whole world come crumbling down with another relic reveal. After playing through all the leagues, I will say it is very overwhelming, especially if it's your first league. It's super common during the first few days to just freeze and do nothing. Like you'll be standing there looking at the task list because there's so much to do and you want to do everything, but you can't do everything all at once and you have to pick something to start with and you start planning the order that you want to do things, but then you keep changing that order and then you're like, wow, I just spent 15 minutes chopping an oak tree instead of doing tasks. And this leads us to the title of this video, which is going to be something along the lines of the best league strategy or meta that every player should follow. Like I said, it's very overwhelming since you'll be locked into your relics and regions for the whole league once you pick them, and it'll seem like everyone around you is progressing faster than you and getting stuff done while you're stuck there frozen trying to decide what the best options are. The strategy I'm about to reveal will work for every player, and it should help you decide what regions and combat style to pick. And this strategy is pick what sounds fun. Here's some examples. Maybe you want to get as many points as possible, or maybe you aren't so focused on points, but you want to use the relics to build confidence being in the boss rooms, and you want to use the league as a way to learn PVM for the main game. Or maybe you're already an experienced PVMer and you want to use the league to see how far you can push yourself with relics to do stuff like solo TOB or 500 plus invo TOA. Or maybe your goal is you want to go for as many pets as possible since pets are the only thing that carry over between leagues. Or maybe you just want to get that one cool league reward on your Iron Man. There is no overarching right or wrong answer. The meta is specific to each person based on whatever you want to get out of the league. I'd say the biggest category of players is people trying to get points, as many points as possible, whether or not that means going for Dragon Cup. And really, no matter what your goals are, you'll still be getting points and at least have certain rank thresholds maybe as a side goal. So let's go by the assumption that your goal is getting as many points as possible. Generally, the regions should be pretty balanced in terms of number of points. There might be slight differences per region, but if there is, it would only affect people that are going for the top ranks who need to complete basically every task in their regions. But for the average player, it should be close enough to say that all regions are about the same points. And that is the first reason why you should pick whatever sounds fun to you. But the distinctions start appearing when considering the time factor and the fun factor. For example, range sounds fun to me, and if I picked range, I'd also want to pick Zaya to get rigor. However, the meta would say that because you pick Zaya and range, you need to grind it out and stay until you get a T-bow because otherwise you're wasting a region. I think most players would agree they don't want to spend, say, 50 plus hours grinding out a T-bow specifically in a temporary game mode, and that might turn them away from a region they'd otherwise enjoy and want to pick, because they would feel obligated to grind out the max potential of the region for the best in slot gear. Well, I'm here to tell you that with the fun strategy, you don't need to feel bad. In fact, the fun strategy generally leads to more league points. The way the tasks are usually designed is that the more tedious tasks that less people would consider fun aren't meant for players to do unless they either really like the content or they're losers like me who play 16 hours a day and completed all the easy tasks in the league, and now I need to grind out the slower tasks that are less points per hour, or RNG tasks. These are the kinds of tasks that people usually save until closer to the end of the league, where they really have to squeeze out league points from tasks they don't want to do. But most players stop playing after the first month and never even get to that point. It's like opening the fridge looking for food and not finding anything you want to eat. So you close it and then you open it again a minute later with lower standards. And you keep closing and opening the fridge until your standards are low enough to where you say, fine, I guess I'll do this league task. Let's say the drop rate for a T-bow is 50 hours. Sure, you'll get some points for equipping a T-bow and maybe a few extra league tasks along the way that maybe you wouldn't have gotten on the road to getting a dex. But now you're committing to the idea that having a T-bow over a 0-time crossbow is going to save you 50 hours of grinding out PVM. And yeah, I mean, maybe killing armor now is going to be 14 seconds with the T-bow per kill instead of 16 seconds with the crossbow. Do you think that the time spent meeting the T-bow drop rate is going to save you the same amount of time over just using a free crossbow? I don't know, but even if it does save the same time as the time spent grinding it out, if you don't enjoy chambers but you enjoy doing Slayer bosses, then why would you spend the same amount of time doing the thing you don't enjoy to end up with the same or probably less points in a given amount of time? In past leagues, there's usually been tasks to kill 250 and 500 of X boss for a lot of bosses. Killing bosses is already insanely fast with the basic gear, the free gear, because of all the relics, that it'd be really hard to justify a 50-hour grind just to slightly speed up a few other KC tasks. There's so much more to leagues than just PVMing, at least if you're going for points, which is what we're talking about, that you really don't need to feel bad because you don't want to grind out the best in slot gear for your regions. The same thing can be said for Shadow or Scythe. There's alternatives that are essentially free compared to spending dozens of hours going for mega rares that you could go dry for. Like, you got the Fang for melee, or for mage, even just using the smoke staff with Fire Surge, or just Ancients in general is going to be super OP with the AoE effects, along with damage and accuracy increases, and Ancients being 2-tick casting. It's going to be crazy. These will be perfectly fine to carry you through the league and get bossing tasks done, unless of course your goal is focused on PVMing and not so much on points, or if you plan to play all 2 months and you're trying to complete everything. In that case, which I assume doesn't apply to too many people, but if for whatever reason you are planning to get the raids mega rares eventually, then it would be in your benefit to start grinding them as soon as you have all your relics unlocked so you can get the most use out of those mega rares throughout the league. Maybe saying this stuff about raids and mega rares is controversial. I'm not sure. These are just the thoughts that have been going through my mind lately that I at least wanted to put out there that maybe will give you something to think about. I'm probably more so just projecting the fact that I'm so burnt from raiding, I want to do anything besides lock myself into a raid for a while. But yeah, if you're one of the people in the PVM category that's playing for PVM and PVM is your main focus, then yeah, of course you're going to want to grind out best in slot gear because that's what your goals are and that's what's fun for you. You want to maximize your PVM potential and you enjoy PVMing, so going for the mega rares shouldn't feel like a tedious grind if that's what's fun for you. People seem to be picking regions and telling other people to pick regions based on how it would affect your PVM strategy, based on the type of combat relic that you've taken. But if you're the average OSRS player who only has limited time to play and your goal is league points, then my suggestion is to do whatever areas sound most fun to you and has the content that you enjoy the most, especially outside of PVMing. You can have fun in any area no matter what combat relic you pick. And if you get stuck in a region you really don't enjoy because someone else told you it was the best for your combat style, sure, it may technically have more benefits that outweigh the region that you wanted to do, but if you're sitting there dwelling every day about how you messed up and you wish you could go back and repick, you'll quit the league. And quitting the league is less points than picking a fun region that other people may tell you is underpowered. And you know what? Maybe you'll discover some hidden gem in that region that no one thought about that actually does make your region better. And there's nothing humans love more than being able to tell their buddies, Ha, I was right. Alright, so that's the end of the section of using the fun strategy to pick regions and combat styles. Now, how about for picking relics? Besides the combat styles, because we just went over that. Again, there's no overarching right or wrong answer. Every player has their own playstyle, and my assumption is that whatever you consider to be your playstyle, that's what we will define as fun. A general thing with relics, speaking from past experience, is that usually there's an option that's for more casual players, because if you're playing for the whole 2 months, then certain relics can become irrelevant quickly, while some still benefit you in the late game. I have a perfect example of this, the tier 1 relics from last Trailblazer, which actually happen to be pretty similar to the options this league, but I think these relics from last Trailblazer showcase better what I'm trying to talk about. So there was Endless Harvest, which was if you were more of an AFK player, so you don't mind spending more time AFKing for the production skills in order to have even more AFK and faster resource collection skills. And that would be for the AFK player who works 10 hours a day, then comes home to unwind with a couple hours of OSRS and just has no drive to actively play the game. Then we had Production Master. You would instant process your inventory when doing production skills. So with this, you would have less downtime and you'd be constantly clicking stuff. And the resource skills wouldn't be as AFK since you'd actually have to bank. And of course, this relic was for the type of player that loves constant interaction with the game and fast progression. And then there was Skilling Prodigy, plus 12 permanent boost to non-combat skills. This was more for those who didn't have a long-term interest in leagues and just wanted to go hard for a week then quit. Whether it was just a casual player trying out leagues or someone trying to rush to be the first for something so it would look cool as an all-caps YouTube title. I believe Jagex purposely designed relics so that people can choose based on their playstyle, and this way there's something for everyone. And because of this, there shouldn't be one that's objectively better than the others. It would just depend on what's fun for you. As I've been saying, if you just choose the relics that the meta efficient players tell you is best, I mean, sure, it might technically be best, but if you just play casually and AFK a lot, then chances are the meta relics will actually hinder you more and possibly even cause you to quit, like I said before. And quitting is very inefficient for league points. Where I'm trying to go with this is that while I won't be there to give you the answers as relics get released, which in itself is kind of subjective to the individual, I want to help you analyze relics in a different way. Instead of taking them for face value and thinking, oh, this one is cool because you could train agility faster, instead try to think, okay, if I'm going to be playing for the whole 8 weeks, then the usefulness of Relic A will provide significantly diminishing returns compared to Relic B. Or the inverse, if you know you can only play for a couple weeks because the holidays are coming up, you're going out of town, or work is getting busy, or whatever, then consider Relic A is useful if I'm rushing to max, but I won't have enough time to max, so therefore I should pick Relic B. I could keep going with examples because there's so many variables, but basically just try to consider what playstyle each relic is catered to, and that'll help you decide from there. In the earliest leagues, there were definitely some objectively wrong and bad relics to pick that would ruin your league's experience, but at this point, considering we're now on the 4th iteration of leagues, in my opinion, Jagex have already proved that they can balance these relics well. Here's a few questions for you to think about to help you pick relics. What's your league's goal? Are you going for points, Dragon Cup, ranks, PVM, or just trying it out? How long are you going to play the league for? Are you going to quit after reaching a certain milestone? Or maybe you're unsure because you want to try it for a few days, so maybe you'll play a few days, maybe you'll play for over a month. Do you like to AFK, or are you a more active player? Are you going to use this league as a way to learn Inferno? Do you like or want to learn any specific raids? Do you like grinding out clue scrolls? Are you going to try to max or continue playing beyond maxing? Do you want to go for pets? It's just a few questions to get the gears cranking a bit in your brain. Maybe I'm thinking a bit too deep into it and most casual players won't care this much anyways. But then again, if you're watching League's preparation videos in the first place, then you're probably a bit more dedicated than the average player to Leagues, and this would hopefully be more meaningful to you. So I hope that's the case and it helped, or I hope it at least inspired some thoughts. I'll link my previous Trailblazer series, Leagues 2, in the description. I made 68 episodes during that league, playing on 2 different accounts with completely different builds, so it should give you some ideas of what to expect. The closer we get to the league, the more and more excited I'm getting, especially with all these daily reveals, and just the energy and the excitement is so contagious in the League's Discord. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching. Good luck with Trailblazer Reloaded, and remember, have fun.